Hey guys.
Hello, everyone.
So, surprise.
We're not Jay.
We're not Jay. Yes. In fact, Jay is doubled. If he was here, we're actually two people.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
My bad.
Yes. So you've got we are not as highly technical as Jay is. We don't have all the great equipment, but we did want to get on here and talk to you guys and kind of let you know who we are and why we're here taking over Jay's stream. So my name is John Williams. This is my wife, Wendy. Williams, and we are short-term rental operators out of the Charlotte, North Carolina market. We've been students of Jay's for a while.
3 years?
Yeah, at least 3 years. Yeah. When we first actually just got into real estate investing in general, we actually got started fixing and flipping houses. That was our thing, and did that for a while. We've done wholesale. We had buy and hold there for a while, accidentally.
Yeah.
And then we, well, you tell the story. How did we get into short-term rentals?
Okay, so here's the story. Here's the real deal, right? I'm going to give it to you straight. So we were flipping houses, and this was back in 2017, and we went on vacation with another couple, another family. Our kids were friends and we were friends, and they lived right around the corner from us. So she calls me up one day and says, "Hey, I got us a house in Florida from it was either Verbo or Airbnb, and I can't remember which one, and she said, we can stay at this house." And I was like, "Ooh, you can stay in somebody else's house? That's pretty cool."
And it had a pool.
And it had a swimming
pool. Which was
pool.
Cool. Yeah.
So, hey, Mary. So we were like, yeah, let's go do that. And we had the best time. It was so much fun. I mean, we were in Florida and we could have gone to the beach, and we did a couple of times, but basically the kids just hung out in the swimming pool. But the whole experience was phenomenal. We had such a great time, and it blew my mind that you could even stay in somebody else's house.
Yeah, we had never heard of that. Like their furniture was there and stuff, and it was cool. They had a kitchen, you could cook.
They had a washer and dryer. I mean, we were there for like 5 days or something.
Right.
And it was like living there. So we loved it so much. When we got back home, I said, you know what? Why don't we do that same thing with our basement? Because we have a fully finished basement, and it's like almost 1,000 square feet down there. And it already had a 80-inch screen TV, this big, huge, comfy couch.
Yeah, it was meant to be our place to go hide from our children.
Right.
They're 9 and 13 now, but they were, 3 years younger, whatever that math is.
So they were
6 and 10, I guess.
Still, we want to get away from them, but
yes,
even more so when they were younger. So I had decorated it in this movie theater theme. I painted the walls red, and we had all this movie memorabilia hanging on the walls. And I thought, man, that would be so cool. What a great experience that would be if we could host other people. And I love being the hostess anyway. I enjoy, putting out little candy. So I put some candy and some popcorn down there. And we thought, well, we don't live very close to town. We're about 30 minutes away from Charlotte, like uptown Charlotte. Who would stay here? Yeah,
we even have a turf farm across from. We live in a neighborhood, but we have a turf farm across from the neighborhood. Yeah,
cows are the neighbors. So,
yes.
So we did it anyway. So, and I thought, you know what? Let's just try it. It'll be fun. We don't have anything to lose. So we got a little dorm-sized fridge and a coffee pot and a table and some chairs. We got a big bed, and we threw it up on Airbnb and said, let's just try it. If nobody comes,
no harm, no foul, right?
Who cares?
Yeah.
Right. So, but lo and behold, the first people that we had only stayed one night, and that was fine.
And I don't even remember them.
And I don't remember them either. But the second people that we had was a guy coming for work.
Right.
And he stayed for 3 months.
I know, which scared the crap out of me, just so you know. Because this was all Wendy's idea. This was
right.
Like she was going to go do this thing. That was her idea.
This was my baby. This was like my little project.
And I was like, 3 months, what? That doesn't sound like we're just trying it out. That sounds like kind of a commitment to me. But it worked out great. In fact, the guy, he was from Richmond, Virginia. He was down here working for a company called Car Lots, which is kind of like CarMax, but they do cars on assignments. But anyway, he was down here training his people. He was a regional training sales guy. And he stayed during the week and went home on the weekends.
Right. It was
And
great.
the company
And
paid
he
for
was
the whole
out
thing.
during the day.
Yes. So he basically just slept here, and it became a great experience for us. And so rewind a little bit, what had gone on in our real estate business was, remember, we were flipping houses, and that's one of those businesses where, you know, if you make a mistake, you've made a big one, because there's a lot of money involved. And we made a big one, and we ended up buying a house that
we should not have bought.
We shouldn't have bought. And we fixed it up, but we could not sell it for what we had in it. So we turned that one into we just said, hey, let's just rent it long term and let it sit there. And because of the way the money was structured, we'd done it all cash. The only expenses we hired a property management, right? And so while it wasn't a great return on our investment, the check was nice. I think we
owned it free and clear.
Yeah, so we were getting $870 or something
after property management.
Management,
it took a lot of courage to do that. Yes.
Yes, and so that's how that went. And we were kind of sitting around as we do, and talking about business and things. And I remember it very clearly. It was in August. And
3 years ago,
yes.
Actually 3 years ago on August the 12th will be our 3-year anniversary.
That's true. Yes. Yep. So we were sitting out there, and we looked down, and we'd just gotten paid for our long-term rental. And then I pulled up the app for Airbnb, and we'd gotten $870 from our long-term rental. And I believe that month we had made $1,200 in the basement. Where we had a bed and a coffee maker and maybe
2,000,
maybe $2,000,
maybe
$2,000 invested,
maybe $2,000, maybe.
So we looked at that and said, well, why don't we just do more of those and less of this other thing, right? And it looks like if I make a mistake over here, it's a lot less costly than if I make one over here. Right. And my cash flow is better, my return on investment's through the roof, right?
Right.
And so that's what we did, but we had a problem, and the problem was we had no idea how to scale it, because we were still amateurs at that point. It was just in our basement and that sort of thing. And that's where I started searching for information on it. And I came back around across Jay and saw that he was now teaching short-term rentals. And we knew Jay already from the real estate world. And I said, it
was so interesting that
yes,
Jay got started in short-term rentals too, a little bit before we actually figured it out, and we were trying it out to begin with. But he had already been doing it for like a couple of years, and we were already following Jay in the real estate side of the business. So
right.
We already knew Jay, and we already knew that he had a lot of great things to say. And once Jay started in short-term rentals as well, we thought, oh man, how great is this?
Yeah, perfect fit, right?
It was like it was totally meant to be.
And he had figured out how to scale it.
Yes.
And that's what we needed.
And that's what we
really
yes.
needed. So we
Yes.
signed up as students,
yep.
And took that business, and that's exactly what we did. We went out into Charlotte proper, and got multiple locations in Charlotte, and we operated to this day. And I would say most of our success is due to the training and systems that we've gotten here and the guidance from Jay. So fast forward a little bit, Jay started teaching more and more, and had more and more students, and we developed the roadmap product, or they did, inside CashFlowDiary. And he asked us, hey, do you guys want to come be a part of that? And I said, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
we do. Let's go be a part of CashFlowDiary officially. And so that's where we are today. We are accountability coaches within the CashFlowDiary program, within the roadmap specifically. So when you join the roadmap, you not only get access to Jay and all of the trainings and things like that, but you also get assigned a dedicated accountability coach. And here we are. And it's been a great journey. It's been awesome.
It's been so great watching people grow and have success.
Yes.
I really enjoy watching other people have the same success that we've had, and more. I mean, and
have that same kind of aha that we had, right?
Right.
I talked to a student this week, one of my coaching clients, and I believe his exact words were, "I'm not sure why I didn't start this 2 years ago."
We
right?
heard that a lot.
So I've seen it. We've had success with it. Almost everybody that's part of the CashFlowDiary organization actually operates as operators, which I think is unique in that regard as far as education products go.
And it's great being in this community with all the other operators too. And we're all using very similar systems and processes, and you can share your experiences. And if you have a question, somebody's probably been through it already, right?
Right.
So all you have to do is post it out there, and somebody will be able to help you. That's what I like about it too.
Right. So that's who we are, and that's how we got here, and that's how we got a hold of Jay's stream today to bring you that message. And I want to transition a little bit and say one of the first things that we learned when we joined the program, and it's been true ever since. And it was a little bit shift in perspective, maybe a mindset shift, if you will,
especially coming from the real estate.
Yes, especially coming from the real estate side and coming from what I like to think of as the matrix.
Right.
In other words, the real world, right?
Right.
So
JOB world.
Once we got into Jay's head a little bit and he started talking to us, that's when your perspective starts changing, and that's why the stuff here is so valuable. And I want to share with you today, or we're going to share with you today, one of the most important shifts that you can make as you think about this business, whether you're in it like we were, because we operated for a year as amateurs before we decided to expand, or whether you're just getting started, or whether, hey, this is the first thing you've ever seen here on Jay's channel. Welcome, by the way. But I think this is probably one, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, actually, Rob and Jay were just talking about it yesterday.
That's right. If you saw this live stream yesterday, that was really good.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was really great.
And Robert's another example. He's somebody that's here, that's part of CashFlowDiary family, and works within the organization and walks the walk and talks the talk, right? And I think that's just awesome.
Yeah, but the mindset part is, and it's starting with that, with the mindset part was huge, because when you come into the business already having some preconceived notions about what this business is, and really what we had to do was empty our proverbial cup, right? We had to throw out what we thought we knew about this business in order to learn what it really was all about. So I think that's what we want to share with you right now.
All right. So I'm going now, again, technology, and this is a new tool for us, being able to stream multiple places.
Which is cool, by the way.
Hopefully you guys can hear and see us.
Hopefully.
I think you can, because I see comments. So bear with me. It's going to be a little clunky. It's not going to be as smooth, but I think this will be valuable for you. And I'm going to share with you some slides that we made that will help illustrate this little shift in perspective. So bear with me just a second, and I will share that with you.
I'm glad you know how to do all this stuff.
Barely.
I'm glad you're on my team.
I know, right? So this is the perspective shift that we want to share with you. And I picked this photo because I think it's hilarious. But what I'm going to say right now is maybe a little controversial, and some of you will say, well, it doesn't really matter, right? And the thing I'm going to tell you is, what you aren't is an Airbnb business. I would take that out of your vocabulary entirely, almost entirely. In fact, I just realized I need to change how this looks a little bit. Is that better?
Yes, that's
okay.
Better. So I was just about to say that. There you
go. How about now? Is that better? Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay.
So stop saying things like this. You're not running an Airbnb. You're not Airbnb-ing your property, right? You're not looking for places to Airbnb. Just take that out of your vocabulary altogether. In fact, when I hear people say that now, in fact, I had a customer this morning actually from the Airbnb channel that she had a tree fall in her house. And she said, hey, I'm currently staying in a beautiful little Airbnb, and I'm looking at your Airbnb, and I would like to stay at your Airbnb. And every time, even though it's on that channel, every time I hear that, I cringe a little bit because it's dangerous to think that way. And I don't want to let that into my mindset. And that's kind of the perspective shift that I would encourage you to take on. And let me demonstrate why I think that is so important. So if you're doing Airbnb, if you're an Airbnb, then really Airbnb is the brand. And I think that's a very risky business structure. This is something that Jay taught us, and it's one of the first things we learned. Airbnb, you're not Airbnb-ing, don't even use it in casual conversation. And the reason for that is when Airbnb is the brand, they are the center. And the customers that come to you are coming through Airbnb. So they're not really your customers. They're Airbnb's customers, even though they may be staying in your property. And in fact, that's what most people do. And that's what we did with the basement. This is us down here. We ran our flag up and said, hey, we have an Airbnb in the basement. And customers came to Airbnb, and then some of them chose to stay with us. In fact, there are lots of people that have, quote, Airbnbs, right? And then what most people do is set up their own. They're like, I want an Airbnb too. These people are making money. Let me run up my flag and I'll be an Airbnb too. Something I would point out about this particular business structure is that Airbnb is in the middle of it, which means all of the customers, all of the dollars flow through Airbnb, which, by the way, they then take their cut, and then you get the rest of it. So when customers come, they come to stay in your Airbnb or somebody else's Airbnb or whatever. And what's risky about that, while there are a lot of good things about being associated with a brand like that, there are also a lot of bad things that can come from being associated with a brand and speaking of yourself as somebody else's brand.
Yeah, and you see that in the news sometimes too.
Yes.
Right.
And this is where my cheesy animation comes in. These are supposed to be bandit masks. But that's exactly what happens. If somebody else on that platform does something and they're calling themselves an Airbnb and you're calling yourself an Airbnb,
right, you get associated
then
with
all
that.
of a sudden you get associated with all the negative things too.
Right. Even though you've done nothing wrong.
Right. And through no fault of your own. For example, you see this all the time in the news. In fact, Airbnb hardly ever makes the news for good things. It's always, there was a giant party I saw here recently. 500 people showed up to a, quote, Airbnb,
Oh, good Lord.
right? And had a party house, and now all the neighbors are upset, and it made the national news. And all of a sudden, if you're going around saying, hey, I'm an Airbnb, then your friends and family, and by the way, the landlords you're trying to talk to and the real estate deals that you're trying to do, they're all going to come to you and say, hey, I heard about that Airbnb thing. That sounds really bad. Even though it had nothing to do with you at all. And in Charlotte, there was one last year that was tragically sad. Someone was actually shot at a Airbnb is how they reported it. So you will get associated with those bad things. And I think that's a real downside to going around associating yourself with a brand. And if you think about it, Jay uses this example all the time, but you never hear somebody that sells products on, like say, for example, on Amazon.com or an eBay, or where else can you buy products? Any of those online platforms, they don't really going around saying, hey, I have an Amazon.
Etsy.
I don't have an Etsy, right? I sell jewelry on Etsy, or I sell, earbuds on Amazon perhaps, but I'm not an Amazon. And so your business is the same way. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous to set it up this way. Now, if that's dangerous, what is a better way to think about it? And a better way to think about it is, instead of putting Airbnb or any platform for that matter in the middle, and by the way, if Airbnb decides they don't like you, your money stops flowing, right? That's what the little X is for.
Right.
But what's a better way? What's a better way? Well, a better way is, instead of Airbnb being the brand, why don't you be the brand? So that's us. We've run our little flag up, and instead of having Airbnb on it, it has our company name. We're Queen City Suites in Charlotte. Plug if you want to come to Charlotte and stay, but that's not the point. The point is that we have a brand. Queen City Suites is the brand. And in that case, Airbnb just becomes a platform. It just becomes a marketing channel from which Queen City Suites acquires customers. In fact, we acquire customers from other platforms as well, like HomeAway, Booking.com. In fact, we have our own direct website where we can take customers in as well. And what has happened now is instead of having that single point of failure in the middle of our business is actually in the middle. And we have multiple sources that we acquire customers from. And in fact, what we do is no matter where they come from, now we start building a database of those customers.
Right.
And that's what this is down here at the bottom. So as customers come in, we put them in our database, and now instead of being Airbnb's customers or HomeAway's customers or Booking.com's customers, now they become our customers, so that when they return to the area, they can come to us directly. We're not relying on the platform. So over time, as you have these different customers coming from different places, you can start building up your own book of business. And that's really the value in identifying yourself as the brand. It's the customer list that you build over time. It's the database that you build over time. And in fact, those people we redirect right back to our website that we control. So if Airbnb decides one day that they don't like us anymore and cut us off, no big deal, because we have a book of business. We have a list of people that we can go talk to, right? And by the way, we're on these other platforms as well. And I'll just point out that we also network with many other people in our local area. For example, real estate agents. We just got one of those. Was it last week they started staying with us? So they're waiting to close on their house. They're actually from our neighborhood, and they're waiting to close on a house in our neighborhood, but they needed a place to stay for the next few weeks. In fact, their financing fell through, so now they're staying with us longer. But they were a referral from a real estate agent that we network with, and it was her client. So it had nothing to do with Airbnb or any of these other things. It was networking locally. Insurance clients are another one that we get. So when somebody has, say, a tree fall in their house, just today, actually, we had somebody that contacted us for a 6-month stay because a tree fell in their house, and their insurance currently has them in another house in Charlotte, but that one doesn't have a backyard, yada, yada. And one of our places might be better for them, but it's a great source of customers. When a Nationwide or a State Farm or one of their customers has an insurance claim, in fact, we just had another one of those at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, where we had insurance clients. So those are great sources, but again, have nothing to do with Airbnb or HomeAway or Booking.com.
No, it's a direct relationship. So you actually create a relationship with these people, and they continue to refer business to us because we've taken the time to figure out who we are. And now we can tell people, this is the service that we provide, and here's how we can help you. Hospitals, for example. Yeah,
hospitals are a great one. We have one of those right now. Somebody is here for cancer treatment. And so you can go to your local medical areas, and it might not even be, most people think traveling nurses and doctors and things like that. But a lot of times it is just people who are coming to the area because there's a hospital. We have a cancer treatment center here in Charlotte, and people come from all over the state, and they need places to stay. And then local businesses. You can network with your local businesses. A lot of them have traveling sales teams. They have executives that travel, all sorts of things.
People come in for training all the time.
Yes. And in fact, in the middle of a pandemic, just 2 weeks ago, we had somebody that checked out, but they were here for 3 weeks setting up a restaurant.
Setting up a restaurant in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
Bless them.
Which I thought was interesting, but these are all different sources. So now you can see that, hey, this is a lot more solid. There are no single points of failure here. You know, if If there's a pandemic and all of a sudden people aren't traveling for business, well, there's still trees falling on people's houses, right?
That's right.
There are actually still people buying houses and moving.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably more people going to the hospital these days. So there's all sorts of ways to bring in business. And so
that has nothing to do with any of the platforms.
Right. And so hopefully with this illustration, you will see that this is much more solid business structure, and why we never say we have an Airbnb. What we have is a short-term rental business that does acquire customers occasionally from Airbnb, but from a lot of other places as well.
And that's one of the things that we are able to say when we go present our business to landlords.
Yes, or anybody.
Yeah.
So if you can get out of the habit of saying, hey, I have an Airbnb, then you might say, well, what are you then? Well, we serve families with children coming to town or local who have pets. So we serve pets, and they are here for either an insurance claim, or they're in between housing, or a lot of times they're either here for work or some sort of hospital stay, some sort of medical reason. And that's our bread and butter. That's our primary client base. And even through this pandemic, we've been pretty much okay because those client types haven't really been affected. Now, you know what was affected? Airbnb. People stopped coming from there for a while. It started to pick up back up now. But luckily, we were taught never to think of yourself as an Airbnb. And so it was kind of like, well, that sucks, but look at all these other places that we can go acquire customers from. So hopefully that helps show that why we don't say that, why we feel like it's poison for your brain to think that way, especially if you're in this business. And
it's risky.
That was pretty much it.
To have that single point of failure, but to build your business on a single point of failure like that, it is risky.
All right, so I'm going to stop sharing this, and here's where it gets clunky again. John has to figure out the technology. So I think I'm back.
You did it.
Okay, I think we're back.
Okay, so now we can take some questions. I haven't been able to see the chat, but Jeremy's like, preach, John.
Right, yeah. So Jeremy is another member of CashFlowDiary. He's one of the sales. He's on the sales team here at CashFlowDiary. Awesome guy.
Student.
Also a student.
Mm-hmm.
Also has short-term rentals.
Yep.
So any touch pretty much that you have with CashFlowDiary, you're going to be talking to somebody who actually does it, which I think is super important.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Who else has questions? I see Mary in here.
Anthem. Okay.
Yeah, 1,200 from the basement, Jeremy. Yes.
Yeah.
And it consistently, that was a good month, but consistently it does net somewhere around $900 a month, even in the slow times. So it's great. Melissa's in Florida.
All right. Melissa's in Florida. Excellent.
Yeah, Florida's a place that we love.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we're East Coast, so it's kind of our East Coast California.
Right.
Right. So
we definitely want to have some short-term rentals.
Yes, I'd love to have some short-term rentals in Florida.
Yeah.
But I would probably not have a vacation rental.
No, I wouldn't.
Because again, that's kind of one of those words that gets thrown around, and there's nothing wrong with having vacation rentals. It's just that seems like a single point of failure to me. But that's another conversation. Definitely not an Airbnb. Let's put it that way.
Maybe we can talk about that next week.
From Canada.
Hey, Sasha. Awesome. From Canada.
Love Canada. We have students
cool.
operating in Canada.
Yep.
For sure.
Yep. And two that I can think of right now. Are all your short-term rentals near your home? Yes, within 30 minutes.
Within 30 minutes currently. And
Yes.
and that's what Jay will teach you. That's what you would learn here in CashFlowDiary is if you're going to start close to home, because there are going to be things that you're going to need to do that you're not going to realize at first, especially when you just get your first one.
But now, having said that, now that we have started developing all these systems and processes, we can pick up and go anywhere we want to, which is the next step for us.
That's true. And that's really what we learned here.
Right.
was how to scale, how to build those systems, how to make it rock solid. What team members do we need? What software tools do we need to use? All of those things, to the point that now we really could. We could be Queen City Suites, Jacksonville, Florida, if we wanted to, or Toronto, Canada, or wherever we wanted to go. It'd be easy.
Sandy's here. Oh, hey, Sandy. Good to see you. She's a student in the roadmap. Sasha, what do you have to do differently with COVID on the short-term renting? Ooh,
oh, that's a really great question.
That's a really good question.
It's a good question. You could go in different directions with it, though, couldn't you? Because I initially think, okay, cleaning and safety. But
then there's also the pivoting aspect of
it too. So we did have to pivot. So maybe we talk about both a little bit.
Yeah.
So at the end of February, beginning of March, somewhere around there. And I want to feel like that the short-term rental business felt it before most other industries, because it typically is reliant a lot on travel, even though a lot of our clientele actually tends to be local because the types of people we serve. But at the end of February, beginning of March, here's that word again, all of our Airbnb traffic dried up. In fact, all of the people that were booked with us on any of the platforms, Airbnb and HomeAway specifically. Verbo. Sorry, it's not HomeAway anymore. I have to get used to saying Verbo.
Right.
It all dried up. They all canceled. They all got their money back. And for us, that was tens of thousands of dollars. And it was, what do we do now type thing.
Right.
But fortunately, the roadmap had just got started the beginning of the year, and we were in there. And as a group, we were able to come together and brainstorm and get ideas and figure out how we were going to get our business back. And for us, that month of March was hard, but April, we picked it back up again. We actually, somebody who stays with us locally, we got an extension from him because of COVID. He's a traveling salesman type guy. So he stays with us when he's in town.
Him and his dog Buster.
Yep. It's our target client.
Yep.
And so he just stayed longer. So he stayed for 3 months, I think.
Yep.
So that took care of one of our units.
Yeah. So all we did was reach out to the current guests that we had and said, hey, are you interested in extending your stay? We can take you direct and save you a little money.
Yeah, for sure. And so that was one of them that we pivoted to. We also started networking more heavily with our realtor clients.
Realtors, yes.
Because there were things that happened, like closings got moved up because the court systems were shutting down. So people that were expecting to close in 3 weeks had to close like this Friday. And so they needed a place to stay for the next 3 weeks. I remember that one being specific. Lots of things like that. All the things that we showed you on the slides, we went really heavy on finding people local that weren't necessarily traveling.
Right.
And that's something I always hear too. You know, there's a lot of free places and free groups out there and things like that. And you always hear, or you seem to hear that a lot, like never take locals, right? Because they just want to have a party and trash your place. And for us, that's actually a big part of our client base. We don't serve partiers, but we do serve people that are in between housing. We do serve people that are here in the hospital. We serve people that are visiting family members in the hospital and stuff like that.
Yep.
Now on the cleaning side.
So actually Airbnb had the cleaning protocols.
As did some of the others.
And Verbo also had some cleaning protocols that they took from the CDC. And all I did was copy that. And I had a conversation with the cleaners and said, you know, here, you need to start implementing this. And there were some extra things that they had to do.
Yeah, right? To protect themselves and to sanitize better and things like that.
Yes. And also things like things that they didn't normally do before, like clean the remote controls to the TV, the light switches, What are some other things that
they would before, but it became okay, now that has to be wiped down with Lysol every time type situation. So
okay.
And what that meant was that our cleaning costs went up.
Yeah.
But it also meant
bit,
that was something that we could actually turn around and pivot and advertise.
Yes. So that's one of the things that we did start doing was advertising that we had updated cleaning protocols per CDC guidelines. So,
and that's become a big thing.
And that's what the majority of people who are traveling nowadays, I would say that is their number one concern now. And once they see that on your listing description, it kind of makes them feel easier about traveling. And another thing that we did actually was took pictures of the, actually I took snippets of the new cleaning guidelines and put them in our listing photos as well.
Yeah, so there's some free ideas for you, but that's how you can take something that is potentially a negative and turn it right around into something positive.
That's a really good
question. And that's what we didn't make it up. It came right out of the roadmap and those calls we have every week.
That was a really good question, Sasha. Facebook user, any business is risky. Short-term rental is a first needs business. No matter the reason why you travel, the first you think is where you will stay. This makes this business less risky. Oh,
yes. Okay. And that's a great point to make. And I think Jeremy he said, yes, Marco. So we can't,
it's Marco.
We can't actually see your name unless you click that little thing that says register with StreamYard. But yeah, you're right. I think what Marco is saying is really what you are in is the housing business, and housing is hospitality and housing. And I would say that housing is as fundamental to the human condition as water and food. You need to eat, you need to drink, and you need shelter.
Yep.
And at the very core of it, that's what we provide. And that's what Marco was trying to say.
Very good point.
That's part of what makes this business less risky, because you're not a restaurant. I mean, thank goodness we're not in the cruise line business.
Right. Although we did just book a cruise.
Yes, we did.
$500.
We just booked a cruise last night. We can't go on yet.
$500. We booked a cruise for $500 for 4 people.
Right. And we don't have jobs.
I'm not excited about it.
Well, other than here. But it basically came from our short-term rental money. Yeah. So that's a great thing. So not only can you house other people, but you can use that and go house yourself on nice little places to go.
And go float around the ocean.
Yes. Or an airline. I'm glad I don't own an airline.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
So, right. Or a movie theater.
Yes.
Man, that'd be terrible. That's a really good point, Marco.
Yeah. But the people that are in trouble to the point are the people who say, hey, I have an Airbnb, and that's bad, right?
What group was it that brainstormed ideas? The roadmap?
Yeah, Mary, that's we did that within the roadmap itself. I encourage you to join if you haven't looked into it. Look into it. It's a great program, and it probably just by happenstance saved our business.
Yes,
being in there.
Agreed, because we were all able to come together and you know, I mean, 2 heads are better than one, right? So
or 10, yes,
or 20 or 100, right? We all pulled together and put our heads together and really were able to share our successes and our failures with each other.
Yes, and it doesn't hurt to have someone leading the group that started his business broke, squatting in Banco and property in the middle of the last Great Recession in 2008, right? So that doesn't hurt either. Jay is an awesome resource. He's been through a lot. He knows a lot of things. A
lot of experience.
Tons of experience, and walks the walk and talks the talk. So I keep saying that, but I think that's super important.
Good job, dude. I think you did really great.
Anything else you want to say about this?
No, we did a really good job of covering the mindset. Really is what I was really hoping to convey to people, that you really, in order to be successful in this short-term rental business, you have to shift your perspective of what you think an Airbnb, and stop calling it an Airbnb business. You're not an Airbnb business. You are a short-term rental business that serves a particular client. And really, all you're doing is providing housing. You're just providing short-term housing. And
Correct.
Everybody needs housing. So that's what makes it less risky, I think.
I think you're right.
I think I know I'm right.
Never argue with one, especially me. All right. So just one other thing. We are going live every day this month. When I say we, I mean CashFlow Diary is going live every day this month.
Every day. Every day in August. Every day in August. And we will be back next Sunday with another exciting topic, but which I can't remember what it is right now. But if you have any questions, you're always welcome to post them in the chat. CashFlowDiary.com/ask.
Yes, you can go to CashFlowDiary.com/ask, and you can actually ask questions ahead of time.
I'm going to post this in here.
Yeah. Well, you're just posting it one place.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, technology. We haven't quite gotten it yet.
Got it.
But yeah,
Okay.
so it's CashFlowDiary.com/ask. And if you go there, you will be able to put in questions ahead of time. So if you've got things that are burning in your mind and that you want to know, put those in there. And either Jay or one of us is going to go live every day.
Jeremy.
And get it done. Oh, Mary says she has a question. I think she's on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Mary on YouTube. Okay.
So either go to CashFlowDiary.com/ask. Or you can ask us now if you think you can slip it in.
We got a little while. Got a few more minutes. We can take some questions.
Yes, Mary on Facebook, you got that right. In fact, I think I can put that right there.
Cool.
Isn't that cool? Yes. So that is actually, Mary is correct. That is the right place to go. So check that out.
Good question, Mary. Very nice. Very nice. So,
And I like this one too.
CashFlowDiary.com.
Oh, not that one.
I was about to say, wait, what?
She says, is it a bad idea to have several short-term rentals in one apartment complex? I know the answer to this.
Nope.
Actually, having one is very risky.
Yes.
And the reason for that is that you're either occupied or you aren't. So you're either 100% occupied or you're 100% vacant. And that's never good in your business. So as Jay famously tells us and all of his students all the time, the answer to most questions is go get another unit.
Go get another unit.
And this is one of those. Just having one unit and one unit in a building is very inefficient. There are a lot of efficiencies in having multiple units. In fact, Jay will say get at least 5 and up to 10 in any one particular building.
Within one particular landlord.
Yeah, in one particular building. She's specifically asking about apartments.
Gotcha.
So yes. So in an apartment complex, at least 5 and up to 10 is what I've heard Jay recommend. And I know that firsthand that is the case. The more units you have, it sounds counterintuitive.
Right.
Because I think where the question comes from is, am I competing with myself? And the truth is if you're competing with yourself, that's who you want to be competing with. If they don't stay at one, they'll stay at the other one.
Right.
So
right.
What you don't want is you have one and then there's 9 others. Right. You want all 10, all the things.
Yes. I
all
want
the
them
things.
all. Yes. But one of our landlords, when we got one of our units about 2 years ago, he asked me how many we wanted, because I went and talked to him, because
it's like, yeah, how many do you want?
How many do you want? And he asked me, he's like, well, so how many do you want? And I said, all of them.
Right. And to this day, he brings them to us. Like every single one he gets.
He does. So it's great. It's great to have that laugh now.
And Jeremy's exactly right. And he knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
Jeremy has a lot of units
Yep.
in Texas. And I guarantee you he has more than one per building. In fact, I know he does. So that's a voice of experience right there.
Oh, that's a really good point. You're more leverage and gives you some maneuverability when you go to negotiate with landlords. That's great.
Right. So her fear is if the owner sells the complex,
Mm,
I'm seeing this comment,
yeah.
then she'll have to move our furniture out. The new owner. There are ways to mitigate that risk, and the way you mitigate that is by signing longer leases. So I never want to go into a situation where we're signing a 6-month lease or even a year lease. I want multiple year leases for that reason. Because even if the building sells, then the lease conveys with the new owner typically in most jurisdictions. So.
Yep. Good questions. Good questions. And you can cut expenses, Jeremy says. Yep.
And here's this is again, CashFlowDiary.com/ask. If you've got questions like that and you're watching this on the replay, go there, put them in, and they'll get addressed on the next one probably.
Yep. Which will be tomorrow.
For sure.
And then there will be one the next day and the next day.
And the next day, next day.
Every day in August.
Yes. So looking forward to that.
Yep.
The next one I'll be watching and not presenting.
Right.
And
we'll be back next Sunday.
Yeah, I think we're coming back next Sunday, one of the other of us, and we'll do it again and talk about a different topic.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
All right. Until next time, and we'll see you guys later.
Bye, everybody.